Club.
Fight Club is a 1999 cult classic directed by David Fincher, starring Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, and Helena Bonham Carter. This movie's about an ordinary guy. He's got a boring life. He hates his job. He has issues sleeping. He goes these like therapy sessions, be able to sleep. It's like relieving some steam. But then his life starts to change when he meets Tyler Durden. And then they start this underground fight club. The average Joe can go and just blow off some steam and just beat the living shit out of each other and go about their ways. When this movie first came out, critics had very mixed feelings. They didn't really understand it, I guess. I mean, Roger Ebert really didn't like it. And it bombed at the box office, so no one really saw it. But this movie aged like wine. It became a cult classic. Fans loved it. It turned into one of the greatest movies of all time. The critics look back on and go, I got that really wrong. I was really wrong about this movie. This movie's great. One of the things I love about this movie, I feel like David Fincher had total control of the creative process behind this movie. He's like, fuck that, I'm doing whatever I want. This is how it's gonna look. This is how it's gonna be edited. It's gonna be weird at some points. I don't care. This is my style. You have to deal with it. And this movie has some very weird moments. You could totally feel David Fincher gave it his all when he made this movie. He wanted his sort of style. He didn't care what anyone thought. It's also edited perfectly. Like, it's never boring, and there's so much that goes on in the movie with like twists and stuff that when you watch it a second time, it makes even more sense. And that's because the continuity with the editing and the storytelling and the directing is just meshed together so perfectly. Edward Norton does a great job, one of his best performances of his career. Helena Bonham Carter was good in this movie too, and she does a great job having to look shocked or just like be terrified in some instances of being like, what the fuck? But Brad Pitt is so good in this movie. He steals every scene he's in. He's got so much charisma. He's got badass swagger. He's just a really interesting dude, and he just has this persona that you just want to fall around. You could just see how people would love to be around this guy, how he could start some sort of following by the way he acts. Now, since I got all that out of the way, I'm going to get into the twist of the movie. So if you haven't seen Fight Club, spoilers ahead, you have been warned. This twist in Fight Club is one of the greatest twists in cinematic history. We find out that Edward Norton's character is actually Tyler Durden. Brad Pitt and Edward Norton are essentially one person. Tyler Durden is what Edward Norton wants to be. It's the image that he wants to see himself as. And looking back, watching it a second time, because I've only seen the movie twice. I've seen it once like years ago, and then I watched it again this week, and looking back at it, it all makes total sense. It all lines up perfectly, like I said earlier, with the editing and the continuity and stuff. It all makes total sense, and you can get why Edward Norton's character wants to be this guy who's basically out of control, but he's in control of what he's doing. He doesn't care what society says. He'll just do whatever he wants. Like, you totally get why Edward Norton would want to be someone like Tyler Durden. And like I said with the continuity, when you go back and watch it a second time, there's parts where like Edward Norton's looking for Tyler. He's going up to the random people in Fight Club and be like, where's Tyler Durden? And they're like, oh, I don't know, sir. Wink, wink. Like, it makes sense. It all like ties together. Like, those reactions are real. And then there's other reactions where they're just like, what the fuck? Specifically with Helena Bonham Carter's character. Like, she stayed over the night and she comes downstairs and he's like, what are you doing in my house? Like, get out. And you could just tell that she was hurt and shocked by it because she's like, I fucked you, dude. Like, what are you talking about? And he thinks that she fucked Brad Pitt. Like, it makes sense when you watch it a second time. The reactions are so organic and they're real. Like, it's so well made. I cannot praise this movie enough. It's just so well made. It's just so good. And saying this movie's about Fight Club doesn't really scratch the surface. It's about Fight Club, like, that's in it, but it's really about like society and how you view yourself and breaking out of some shell. Like, there's a lot of those elements in it, like who's your true self and what are you gonna do to get there. And it's fascinating to see how many people join Fight Club. Like, it becomes this national terrorist organization. Like, that whole thing is super fascinating. And then Project Mayhem, you find out that they're just gonna bomb all these finance places to like erase all the debt, so it's chaos. Edward Norton's like, fuck, like, what have I done? But weirdly at the end, he seems to accept it when he finally kills Tyler Durden. Like, he shoots himself, which I still don't understand how come he just didn't die. I don't get that. Maybe I missed something. I've seen it twice now. I still don't understand why Edward Norton's character didn't die, but whatever. And then the ending happens. The world is on fire. Everything's blowing up, and they just watch, satisfied as can be. To bring it all home, Fight Club is more than just Fight Club. It is a phenomenal film with a lot of different messages about society and how you view yourself as a person. It's got great performances, but the best thing about this movie is its direction, writing, and editing, how everything comes together seamlessly to pull off one of the greatest twists in cinematic history. I have absolutely no issues with this movie, and because of that, Fight Club gets a 10 out of 10.
It's over! It's over!
Remember Robert Paulson. Remember Robert Paulson. I think this is my favorite David Fincher film. I mean, it's either this or The Social Network, because I am a little bitch for The Social Network, let me tell you. But I think it's this. I think Fight Club's my favorite Fincher film. And speaking of Fincher, I'm going to start reviewing more Fincher films. Since there's no movies coming out, I feel like I was in a Fincher mood, so I'm going to start reviewing some Fincher films. So I think the next one I'm going to do is either Seven or The Social Network. Haven't decided yet, but we'll see. So, Fight Club. If you've seen it, let me know what you guys think of it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and click here to see more of Davey Dave's Takes.